to pause just for a week. We've had a whole series of different messages over the last first third. We're a third of the way through the year, everybody. Can you believe it? Can you remember the series that we had in January? I'll give you a clue. Mission Impossible. Remember that one? Obviously not. Then we've had Recover Your Life. And then we just had Begin Again. 3 series, these talks, they've laid out what I believe God wants to instill in us as a church at the beginning of this year, as we get serious about knowing him better. That's the point of all of this stuff. And serious about following him more passionately. And I really hope you found those talks, those series, helpful. But it's not just about what you hear on a Sunday. It's then about what you do with it and taking it away and putting it into practice. So I don't want us to just rush on to the next series, which I'll tell you a bit more about in a bit. But I want us to take some time to pause and to think about how far we've come this year so far. You know, to pause and to consider is a really biblical thing to do. In the Bible, there's a word for it, Selah. Selah. Throughout the book of Psalms especially, there are many, many times when this word has been inserted. So, for example, in Psalm 24, verse 10, it says, "Who is he then, this King of glory? The Lord of hosts. He is the King of glory." Selah. Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know why I'm looking at Joe. Pause and think of that. That's what it means. Pause and think of that. Who is Jesus to you? What does it mean for him to be Lord of your life? This has been really central to all the different messages which have happened over these last 17 weeks. And it's worth taking some time to think about. Or how about this one? This is Psalm 32, verse 7. "You are my hiding place. You, Lord, preserve me from trouble. You surround me with songs and shouts of deliverance." Selah. Pause and calmly think of that. Taking time to pause and to calmly think on those encouraging words helps us to get a more God-centered focus when we are surrounded by troubles. When was the last time you took time to consider that God is your hiding place? Here's another, Psalm 84. "Blessed, happy, fortunate, to be envied are those who dwell in your house and your presence. They will be singing your praises all the day long." Selah. Pause and calmly think of that. There's something about making the effort to get to God's house and to get around his family that makes a real positive difference to our lives. Can change our focus on our problems to praise. That's what it's saying. And that's good for the soul. In fact, in the Mail online, I found this article entitled, "Why Going to Church is Healthy." I don't know if anybody read this. Mainstream Mail. Here's what it says. It says, "Experts who examined an apparent link between a religious lifestyle and health found that those who attended church were more likely to take good care of themselves. A 30-year study of 2,600 people suggested that those who attended service regularly tended to smoke and drink less, take physical exercise, and maintain stable marriages, all factors in a long and healthy life. Our analyses indicate that attendees did not all start off with such good behaviors," said Dr. William Strawbridge, who carried out the study. He said, "To some extent, their good health behavior occurred in conjunction with their attendance. The scientists said that churchgoers had lower blood pressure, experienced less depression and anxiety, and had stronger immune systems than non-churchgoers." If you don't need a reason to come to church, then that is it. Okay. Here's another thing to pause and to think about. This is Psalm 85, verse 2. It says, you have forgiven and taken away the iniquity of your people. You have covered all their sin. Selah. Pause and calmly realize what that means. What does it mean to live forgiven? To know that everything I've ever done wrong in thought and word and deed and attitude can be dealt with by God in a way that I go free. And I'm washed clean. Knowing that makes for a thankful heart. So Selah is a reminder that before we move on, before we rush on to the next thing, even the next sentence, stop, pause, give it some consideration, think about what it means and appreciate it. So, as you survey the first part of this year, 2017, I wonder what comes to mind for you. What has God been saying to you? What's he been doing in your life? Have you taken any time to stop and to think about the good things which might be hidden there amongst all the difficult things? Have you paused to thank God for his presence and his promise that is on your life? I think what's happening to this building is it's a good illustration. The regeneration we've been talking about for so long is a good working illustration of how God works in our lives. Let me explain. We redeemed this building almost 17 years ago. We gave it a new identity. It is no more Treadworth Rugby Club. It is Kingfisher Church. Yeah. We gave it a new purpose. Goodness knows what used to happen in here on a Saturday night. But there's loads of amazing things which happen here right through Monday to Sunday. So a new identity, a new purpose. But it didn't transform overnight, as you well know. But bit by bit, it is changing. And even though it's not finished yet, even though the toilets still need replacing, and the walls still need decorating, we can celebrate what's happened so far, can't we? Let's not get so fixated on what still needs doing that we don't enjoy what has changed already. And it's the same with our lives. It's, we exist often in transition. Not everything is beautiful and perfect all the time. Probably a lot less of the time, actually. Life is very busy for many of us as we juggle family and work and relationships and finances. And it's very easy just to focus on what's wrong or what's shouting the loudest or what is just up ahead. And we're in danger of missing out on all the good things around us. You remember last week, if you were at church, when I was challenging us to get some perspective. And not any old perspective, but get God's perspective. That's the one that counts. So this morning, I want us to take a breather, if that's all right. This is time out for the next few minutes. So whatever you came into church worrying about, I want you to mentally put it down. Can you put your hands up, everybody, for a moment? Fists, whatever you're holding on to. Can you just turn your hands over and just, as an act, just put it down? And then maybe just open your palms as if you're ready to receive. Who didn't do that? I can see you. I just want you to, just for a moment, just put it down. Put it down. Clear some space to hear God's voice. For weeks during February and March, I was repeating the words of Jesus. This was a version of what I said. Come to me, Jesus says, all you who labor and are heavy laden and overburdened. I don't know how many of you that includes. Jesus says, I will cause you to rest. I will ease and relieve and refresh your souls. So the fact that you have come to church this morning, that's great. You're already reaping the benefits, according to the Daily Mail. All right? And that coming to church, it's an act of coming to Jesus. So now that you're here, we're gonna pause. We're gonna take in the view. Might be a new ceiling, but it's better than the old view. We're going to get some energy back as we survey what God has been doing in and around Kingfisher over these last few months. Is that okay? So here's some of my highlights. And this is literally just from my Facebook timeline, so I apologize if any major highlights are missed out. But here we go. Well, we started the new year as one church congregation with the merging of Kingsway and Treadworth. I know that for some people that was not an easy transition, but what a blessing I think it has been for us as we've started meeting together and people getting involved together, and I've loved it. So we started in January with Mission Him Possible, and it was a relook at the mission of our church. It was stating at the beginning of the year, what are we about? Not just about just gathering on a Sunday. There's more to it than that. What has God actually called us to do? And the purpose of that whole 3-week series was to just get us passionate, get us the blood pumping again about what God has called us to do as a church. Then, at the end of January, we had our ministry fair and we had our vision morning. James is outlining what God is saying to us as a church. Where are we headed this year? And we had all the different ministries of the church displayed around this hall. I don't know if you were here then, if you remember that. But just to highlight some of the things that you could get involved in. And it's been great to see people joining connect groups and joining different ministries within the church and getting involved. That same day, we had the shared lunch. I want this to be a real year of community building for us as a church. We're going to be having a few over the year. But that was our first together. And then as we went into February, I think the date changed slightly, but in February we had our Next Inquirers course. So a whole load of people got together at Mark and Heather's house with James. And we're looking at what is the Christian faith? An opportunity to ask questions that you've got. And I think there were some questions that people brought that James is so brilliant at answering. That was a great, great course. That was in February. Next photo, I put this one up because this was on my timeline, but I think it just sums up our journey as a church. And it feels like we climb and we climb and we climb. But the best view comes after the hardest climb, doesn't it? When you're higher up and you can see. That's what I'm asking us to do today, just to look back a bit and just see, remember what God has done. Then we did our Recover Your Life series, as I said. And I know from the feedback that I got that this was very helpful to a lot of people. And this sort of paved the way for the launch of Celebrate Recovery. Here's the verse again that we were looking at throughout February and March. Come to me, get away with me, and you'll recover your life. It's a promise of Jesus. Do you know it? Is it real for you? Next. Right, so this is the first of the ones I'm putting up from the cavern, because I run this group called Music Room, which is a music group for people who are in recovery from mental health issues or substance misuse issues. We've got a small core, few people that meet together every Wednesday in the cavern in the back room for 2 hours just to play music, play their instruments. We have other people who dip in and out, but we've got a small core. And then this year we decided, or Jan decided, it would be great if we had something to work towards. So every 3 months now, we're going to be in the cavern actually putting on a performance, or at least giving the background music. But we had our first one then, back in March, and it was amazing. I don't know if anybody was there. It was a packed out night at the cavern, I can tell you that. And it was great to hear everybody singing along, and it just gave so much value to the people who were playing, who otherwise don't ever get that opportunity. It's one of the amazing things about treasure seekers in the cavern, that people get those opportunities that they wouldn't usually get. Next one, baptism. So our first baptism service of the year. We saw 6 people getting baptized that night. For me, those are some of the best services that we ever do in church. Because for me, that's evidence of God on the move. It's evidence that lives are changing. It's evidence that people are coming to know God for themselves. Here's the picture that's now up on my living room wall that I love by that South Korean artist. And I put it back up because we were looking at it throughout March. And then, of course, everything hit with the building. And it was like, goodness, what's going to happen? We're not going to get back in here till sometime in June. We've got 2 months with no groups. How's it all going to work? And it's like, oh gosh, it felt all very overwhelming. But I was just reminded of that picture. Jesus isn't panicking. He's there with a helpful hand to pull us up and give us some faith and encouragement, and that's what he does. TSPA shows. Did anybody come to the shows? It was the 80s. These are held at Quedgeley at the police headquarters at Waterwells. And it was just, these shows with about 150 people with learning disabilities performing. And again, being given opportunities they would never get anywhere else probably. And just to sing and to dance and to just to perform and have an audience. And it is just fabulous. So look out for the next show, but that's always a highlight for me. What have we got next? This was our Asian food nights. This is our next community event that we had. It was good food, wasn't it? Good food, good company. There's nothing like just getting together and eating a meal together. Next. This is our Sam Blake working really, really hard in the studio, getting our Begin Again album produced and finished. Where is he, by the way? He's never in here when I mention his name, is he? And we know that's been released now. Okay, so the shop, as you know, the Treasure Seeker shop, which has given work placements to so many people over the last couple of years, has moved a little nearer town, 3 doors up, and it's a bigger space. What's being sold now in the shop is now what do you call it? Ethically sourced. It funds different projects around the world. I don't know if you've been in the shop recently, but it's just such a lovely environment. So that moved. That was a change. It's a highlight. Next, we're coming closer to Easter. This was an event that we put on with a couple of other churches up at City Farm. So we did one at Christmas, and this was our Easter one. And it went public on Facebook on this site called, what's it called? Free stuff to do with kids on a budget or something. I don't know. We had over 200 people turn up to this from all over the county who had never been to Treadworth before, never been to the City Farm before, many of them. And it wasn't just that they got to experience the farm. There was an Easter trail, so they heard the Easter message. They got great sort of refreshments which were free, which many of them couldn't understand. Why are you giving away stuff for free? Well, we're churches. It's what we want to do for you at Easter. And the kids got to take away Easter eggs. Many of them got to take away the real Easter eggs which has the Easter message in it. So, again, amazing. And so many people who would never come into a church building, a lot of Muslims as well who were there, got to experience and hear about Jesus and hear about Easter. I think that's fantastic. It's one of my highlights. Next. This is where it all started kicking off. And we ended up in Christchurch on Good Friday. What are you laughing at? Gabby. Christchurch. This wasn't just about having somewhere else to hold a service. What's really spoken to me over this period and through the last couple of weeks has been the amazing responses we've had from a whole load of other churches I can't even begin to tell you. Just praying for us and supporting us and offering us so much. And this was St. James up the road, the vicar there, Juliet, very graciously and kindly gave us Christchurch to use for a couple of weeks. And I just felt that was for me, that was such an encouragement to know that we're part of a bigger family in Gloucester even. And it's not always been like that in Gloucester. I have to tell you, over the years, churches haven't had that much to do with each other. And it's a new day. And 2 years on, certainly over the last couple of years, things have been really changing. And churches are getting great relationships with each other and supporting each other and working together in small ways. And that's been great. And for me, that really illustrated it over Easter. Okay, next. Some of us got up at 5:30 in the morning to go and welcome in Easter Day, which it was tough going, but Well done, you hardened few who came along with me. And there was at least 40 people who were there celebrating the beginning of Easter. It was a great way to start the day. Next, that was Easter Day, the release of Begin Again, the album, which has been, well, it's been 2 years in the making. It was obviously recorded last October, and Sam's been working on it for the last 6 months, and now it's out and blessing so many people, I'm sure. Next. So this was the old shop, which is now the new shop, so don't get confused. And it's been now opened as like a make and take place. Who's been running that? Sally, she's not here, is she, to talk about it? Jan, could you come up a moment and just give us a little update? Because Jan has been, she's talking about Steve working hours and hours, and he has done, but Jan also has been working hours and hours getting this place ready and doing all manner of other things. Can you give us a little update? One, about the shop and the impact of it, the new one. And two, what else is going on around Treasure Seekers right now?
Okay, you mean the new old one, don't you? Yeah, the new old one. Okay. Well, the idea for this, the vision for this is that we wanted somewhere that could be, which is now called the Treasure Seekers Hub, somewhere people could come to and find out about Treasure Seekers, because one of the things that people were often saying when they came into the original shop was, oh, I didn't realise that the cavern was part of that. I didn't realise that this was any more than a shop. So we wanted to kind of bring everything together. And so this is now our place to do that, our foyer, if you like. So in it, we've got all the different details about all the things going on. And Sally, who I know is going to share her testimony this week or next week. I'm trying to do it next week, so not going this week. That's selfish. But anyway, she's going to share her testimony about how God called her to be part of that. So Sally's now working there full time. And so we wanted both a place people could come in and ask what we do, and also ask, is there anywhere I could go that could help what it is that I'm experiencing? So we wanted that, but we also wanted to make somewhere that people could come in at any time and do a creative activity, because the make and take we had in the shop originally was very popular, but it was so tiny and at the back, and we wanted somewhere that people could come in and actually, because it's very healing, making things, and also we wanted things somewhere to go that families could come and they weren't going to be charged an absolute fortune, and they could enjoy it together as a family. Anybody can come. And so we wanted it to be somewhere, because there isn't really many places you can go like that. So it's going to do both, and it is doing both. What we found is that as people are coming in and doing an activity, we're also able to have amazing conversations. We had 3 people last week talk about parenting courses, and 2 of which parenting children with special needs, wanting to come in and do those, people going into the cavern, people going into the new shop. And it's been a fantastic point, just a community space where people can come. And that's been brilliant. A bit like the Easter thing. When we launched it last week, which was half term, nothing could prepare us really for the overwhelming response that it had. I don't know if anybody was in Gloucester that day, but you may have well seen queues all up Westgate Street. We have 14 spaces in the shop, and we could have filled them, I don't know, I now have started this conversation, I don't know how many times, 20, 30, 40, I don't know. But basically, we had hundreds and hundreds of people come in last week to come and see what it was. And the feedback we've had has been phenomenal. And people visiting the Treasure Seekers website for the first time and seeing what's going on there. And it was just absolutely amazing. I kept finding myself apologising to Sally all week, saying, what have we done to you? You were very happy working in the NHS. Now we're all run off our feet. But it was quite amazing, and it's been such a blessing to see people of all ages, of all types. You know, it's such an inclusive environment. Come in and have that relaxed lovely time, their bit of time to pause, and also then for us to be able to begin the relationships with them, to connect them into other services that may be helpful for them. So is that kind of summing it up?
Yeah, thanks, Jan. It's worth saying. I mean, Treasure Seekers started really for the benefit of the people who need it. That's what it is all about. It's always going to be about that. But it's great when other people suddenly start recognizing it. And one of the things that's happened just recently is that Treasure Seekers won an award for the best community business in the Southwest. How about that? Best small community business in the Southwest. So it is that, isn't it? Yeah. Which I think is just incredible. Really quickly then, we started Celebrate Recovery last week, which is great. Doubled our numbers in the first night. Next. That's what it did look like when the ceiling was taken out. I was thinking, goodness me, that's what it's going to be like on Sunday. And then within 2 days, literally, the ceiling was on. It was just incredible. What's next? This is where James and Norley are right now. Just this week, James baptized 38 people in the Philippines, and he dedicated 38 others, which is just amazing. And then here's the kids. I don't know if you remember our Harvest Appeal last October. We were raising money for the Dumagat tribe to start a proper education program for them over there. And this is the launch of it. So you've got all the kids in their T-shirts. They think they look so sweet. Not my colour, but... Next. I think that's it. Okay, David Byrne. David, you might want to come up. If you're wondering what that little look is and why he's behind this, in front of this lovely LED screen, David was on the chase at the end of March. And but David has a testimony he wants to come up and share, so I thought it would be a really nice picture to put up as he comes up.
That's really going to put me off now, that being there. Can't deal with that. So I've been meaning to share this for a while, but I keep on being scared and forgetting to mention it to Ollie, but then it sort of came up in elders meeting the other night. So I was like, I need to really. So here we go. It sort of fits in with what we've been talking about, looking at the view. So I really want to talk about my last year that I had, because it was like quite a big year for me. A lot of the stuff sounds really small, but for me it was like real steps of faith I had to take, and I did, and God's done amazing things. So I'm going to go through month by month, because a lot happened. So in January, I had this really nagging thought in my head of I really want to do something like out of my comfort zone, out of the ordinary, and it wouldn't leave me. And normally when that happens, I'm like, oh, that's God giving me a nudge. So I sort of listened to that, and then I thought, what can I do? So I decided I'd see if I could volunteer with Tear Fund, because me, Bean, and Dave have been at the house band for them for a few weeks in the summers over the couple of years, and they're amazing. They're such a good organisation, such good people. So I had a few links there. So I asked them, did they need a hand volunteering? And the lady that I'd spoke to said yes, they'd love me to. What did I want to do? So I was like, cafe? So that'll be quite easy. Just, serve some drinks, chat to some people, but nothing too pressured. And she was like, I think you'd suit audience team better. And I was like, what does that mean? And she said, let me get this right. So basically, it's walking up to people with a clipboard and asking them for money. So I was one of those charity muggers, those chuggers that you hear about. So if you know me at all, that is so far out of my comfort zone. Walking up to people that I don't know, starting a conversation, telling them about things, and then asking them for money. All of that is just, yeah. But I didn't really know what I was doing, so I sort of said yes before I thought about it. And then that was going to be off in May, so I had a few months to sort of dwell on that. But I'll come back to that. So that was fun. Then I think it was in February, Ollie then approached me and asked me if I wanted to join the eldership of the church. And that's a massive honour and a big thing. And I felt at the time, and I probably still feel, if I'm honest, a little bit underqualified for that. But thinking about it and praying about it and talking to some people, I felt really encouraged that I think it was God suggesting that and suggesting it to the elders and everything. but it's terrifying. It was a terrifying decision to make, but I thought, no, I'm going to trust God, because at the end of the day, I love God, I love our church, so I was like, what else do you really need to be qualified for that? And trust that God gives me extra confidence and everything along the way. So I took that leap, which was terrifying, but cool. Then in March, I had a random phone call one day, which led to that. So it was a random phone call one day, and it was a researcher from the Chase, and they gave me a telephone interview. And then they said, yeah, we'd like to invite you for an audition. So I was like, brilliant. And before I knew what would happen, the next week, I was at a hotel in Bristol on my own, like just having to ingratiate myself with a group of people that I'd never met before, try and make friends. Yay, did that. I think. And then at the end of that, this audition involved me sitting in a room full of these like 10 other people, had to answer quiz questions, obviously. God, no, you can answer quiz questions. But also they wanted me to talk about myself for a minute or two while on camera in front of a room full of people that I'd never met before. So that was terrifying, but I did it. And it was really tense when it got to the moment I had to say I work for the church, because it always feels a little bit tense sometimes. But it almost felt like tension happened in the room, but it didn't. But I hope I presented church well. I think I did. Sorry. So anyway, they shortlisted me after that, but they did say don't expect to actually get on the Chase. So it was like just crack on with life, because don't expect this to actually happen. So I was like, okay, that's what I'll do. So it was just nice. It was a nice confidence boost, thinking, oh yeah, they thought I was good enough to be on that. So I just sort of went on with stuff. So then it gets to May, and that's when I was volunteering for Tier Funds. So this is when things got very scary, because I had to drive off to this place on my own, which is, I mean, I don't mind driving on my own, it's fine, but I can do that. It's the getting to the other end and having to find my way around on my own when I've never been to a place before and I don't know anyone there. It was a bit of a stressful time, like actually getting to the site and getting set up. All sorts of stuff was happening. So it basically meant I had about half an hour to just grab something to eat, get told what we were doing, and then we were suddenly on shift. So I was just stood there in a field with a clipboard on my own. The other people in the group were off doing great jobs. They were off chatting to people, and I was just there like, how do I do this? So I was like, oh, this is going to be a long weekend. But I was able to like get chatting to some people, which was really good, and I felt like I'd achieved things, like chatting to some people. So that felt good. And I was always able to retreat to the Joneses' tent if things got horrible. So that was really good that they were there. But yeah, I started to get into the swing of it a little bit. So it started to get less scary approaching people and them just instantly rejecting you, or like actively walking away in the other direction, which is, to be fair, is what I would do in that situation. But like, we got given some lines to try out on people, and one of them was fantastic, so I kept on using it. It was, can I be really generous and give you a minute of my time? That I actually got people to sign up using that line. It was amazing. So where am I going with this? Sorry. So in the end, it was a really confidence-building experience for me, just to know I could do that, and it was all on my own, and it was just me and God, basically. So I didn't have anyone else to rely on, because it's great doing stuff with like Bean and stuff with church and everything like that. But I've always feel like I've got someone else that I can fall back on, whereas this was just me and putting myself out on that limb. And it was really good to see what God did with that. And it also has made me comfortable with like, well, as a treasurer, it's good because it's probably made me comfortable with asking people for money. So I'll be around afterwards and I'll be really generous with my time if you want me to be. So that's done. So get to June. It's a great year so far, lots of personal growth and faith-building moments, all of that stuff. The next thing that happened was I got to meet Rose, which was great. So I'd been single for a long time, and that was partly down to like a lack of confidence, but partly down to waiting for God. But I made the decision earlier in the year to be a bit more proactive in that and not just wait for God, like passively. So I signed up for eHarmony, which was great because one of my like lines in the sand was I want to be with someone who's a Christian. And that was great going forward, knowing that. Like, yeah. So, so I was worried at first that I was maybe trying to force things a little bit and not trusting in God. But actually, if this year's taught me anything, or the last year taught me anything, it was that anything's like, sometimes we need to take steps and God will bless that. So he'll sort of like go, oh, you're serious about this? Okay, here you go. Rather than just waiting on God to do the magical thing. So long story short, and I did more things out of my comfort zone, scored some digits. Yeah. Thanks, Joe. And we were able to meet, and it all felt very natural and easy, and everything's been amazing. Distance aside, but that's getting sorted soon. Yay. So then in July, sorry, I'll be really quick, Ollie. Then in July, I had a phone call back from the Chase saying they'd love me to come on. So again, it was like, oh my days, what's actually happening? Like, this is just mental. So I went, I didn't win, but it was another, well, I've lost, it doesn't matter. I didn't make a fool of myself, so that's fine. So, sort of. But it was another thing that God used to show me that I can do these things on my own without having to rely on anyone other than me and him, but I have that capability. And to try and not let myself hold myself back sometimes, I guess. So, all in all, this is wrapping up, Ollie, it's fine. All in all, it was a pretty big year for me. And I was just thinking, what was God actually doing there? And, like, I do think he was, like, doing a lot of rewarding of decisions that I'd taken, like, to actively try and do things, like, to take risks, to put myself out there a little bit more than I perhaps would have done. And I think he was rewarding me for that. And it definitely isn't something I would have done in years gone by, like put myself out there in the same way. I'd have been much more waiting for stuff to happen to me rather than actually taking those steps. So I really want to encourage anyone out there who's like feeling either stuck in a rut or, what did I say? It was really good, trust. Stuck in a routine, or God's not doing things in life, or wants more from life. Just take some of those first steps, take some risks, and God will bless that, and He will reward that. He's not going to abandon you or let you go. Worst thing that'll happen is that you might feel a little bit embarrassed sometimes. But like, what is that really? But God will build that. He will bless that and use that for what He's got for you. There we go.
Yeah. Should we have the band up, Joseph? Well, I'll tell you what, you've only heard a little taster, really, of what's been going on this year. This was our, as a church, and obviously that's David's looking back, that's his view. What's yours? What's yours? Tonight at 6 o'clock, we're having a praise and prayer night. Maybe you could come and share your testimony. I know Rosie's got one, because I was going to ask her to share it, but we're out of time. So tonight, Rosie, but if you've got... As you review what God's been doing in your life over the last few months, what is your testimony? What does God want to say to you? You know, in the next third of the year, up to the end of August, another 4 months, let's look forward with hope. We've done some great things. I hope you agree. There's some good things been happening already this year. But we've got some great things coming up. We've got a salsa night, our next community event. I don't know the date yet, because that's had to be changed, but watch out for that. We've got a church barbecue in the Forest of Dean, which we'd love you all to come to. We've got Holiday Club, which is adventures through the wardrobe this year for 160 kids. We've got Soul Survivor for the teens are going off there again this year. We've got another baptism service coming up in July, everybody, if anybody wants to get baptized. And that's not to mention all the ongoing groups which happen here every single day of the week. So just bringing that life and that support to so many individuals. We get to do this. That excites me, that we get to do this. We get to do it as a family, together. And I feel so blessed by that. You know, thank you, God, that you let us do this. So I love church. I'm a church boy, but I love church. I hope you love church too. I hope it's just encouraged you a little bit more this morning. One final verse, you can start playing if you want, but one final verse from Psalm 44, verse 8 And it says that in God we have made our boast. This morning was not meant to be a boast about our specific church. I'm just very grateful for the things that we get to do. But it's all about God. It's all about what he does and is able to do through us. And it says, in God we have made our boast all the day long, and we will give thanks to your name forever. Selah. Pause. And calmly think of that. You know, next week we're starting a brand new series, everybody, and it's called The War of the Worlds. If you love that show, if you love that musical, make sure you're here next week. The War of the Worlds. We're taking a look at spirituality in the world today. And I hope that's going to be helpful. What is the spiritual reality we live in? What is the spiritual fight that the Bible says that we're in? And then on into the summer, we're inviting some special guests into church in June. On the 4th, the 11th, and the 18th of June, I've got some special guests coming in to interview. It's a series called Send Me. It's about how God can put a calling on your life. And I hope that's going to really encourage and inspire you as well. These are people who have really just given themselves to stuff which is happening in our city right now. So watch out for that. I'm hoping that you're going to start inviting lots of your friends and family to come and hear all this, because this is the exciting stuff coming up. So I think it's been a good start to the year. I don't know about you. I know there's been difficulties too. There's been troubles too. But let's not let them overwhelm all that God is doing through us, the church. Let's pray together. Let's stand. Father, thank you that we get to be involved in this great thing that you have established, that you are building, called your church. And thank you that we get to do it in our little family here in Gloucester. And Lord, I pray for real encouragement and inspiration for each one of us. Lord, as we look at what you are calling us to, how can we be part of what you are doing on the earth right now? How can we be part of what you're doing in Gloucester right now? And Lord, I pray that you would show us, call us. Lord, don't let us get so distracted by the storms and the waves and the wind that we lose sight of what it's all about. So I pray you'll help us to lift our eyes, to look at the view, to appreciate how far you've brought us so far. And Lord, to look forward to all that is to come in the knowledge that the best is still to come. And I pray it in Jesus' name. Amen.